I almost paid for a gun I would have regretted every time I picked it up, and I wouldn't have realized it until weeks later, after the money was gone and I was already defending the decision. Guy behind the counter was nodding like it was obvious. That's the one everybody's buying. Last one in stock too. Looked better, newer, everything lined up. My hand was already reaching for my wallet. Then something felt off. Not the gun, me, because I've done this before. Walked out thinking I made the smart buy, then slowly realized I paid for something that didn't give enough back. Not bad, just not worth it. That's the trap in 2026. Too many 9mm win you over in the moment and lose you later. So I set a rule. If it doesn't give more than the price, the hype, and that first impression, it's out. These are the 10 that actually passed that money test. And one of them made everything else I chased look stupid. Last weekend, middle of that Texas heat where your hands won't stay dry, I was already in the middle of a fast string when the Echelon 4.0C started shifting on me. Just enough to throw off the second shot, then the third. And now, I'm gripping harder than I should, trying to force control back. This is the moment where you start blaming yourself, even when it's not you. I've never trusted that modular grip stuff. Always felt like something that looks smart at the counter and disappears when it actually matters. Another sloppy run. Timer still in my head. Hands slick. I stopped. Popped the mag and swapped the module right there. No thinking. Just trying to stop fighting the damn thing. Next run. It locked in. Grip sat deeper. Trigger reach cleaned up. And the gun stopped pushing back at me. Same pistol, but now it actually felt like it fit. That's the value. Not customization. It fixes a problem after you've already paid for the gun, but it's not magic. Carry it all day, and you still know it's there. Sitting in the truck, bending over, moving around, it reminds you this is still a real compact, not some disappearing micro. And that's the trade. The Echelon 4.0C is worth buying. If you want one modern 9mm, you can actually tune around your hand instead of replacing the whole pistol later. Just don't buy it, thinking modular means weightless. Buy it because fit problems get expensive, and this one gives you a way out. 2 pistols sitting on the bench, both 9mm, and I already knew which one I should pick. The other one felt smoother, easier, safer. The Walther PDP Compact didn't. First few shots, it had that sharp snap people complain about. Not violent, but enough to make you hesitate. I remember thinking, yeah, this is exactly how people end up regretting a buy. I almost wrote it off right there, but I kept running them side by side, and something started bothering me. The softer gun felt good, but vague. Shots landed, but I wasn't really calling them. The PDP was different. Every press told me something. Every break felt clean. Misses made sense. Hits repeated. That's where it flipped. It's not the easiest 9mm on the table. Not the most comfortable, but it's the one that actually makes you a better shooter if you're paying attention. That trigger, that feedback, you stop guessing. Now, here's the trade. That snap doesn't go away. You feel it in fast follow-ups, especially when you start pushing speed. That snap stays. Some people are going to hate that, but I almost skipped this 9mm for that exact reason. And that would have been a mistake I'd notice later. The next one, I didn't expect anything from it, and that's exactly why it stuck. Early this year, San Antonio, small shop with the AC barely working, and people crowding the counter. There was this guy who always acts like he can sort every 9mm in the room in about 5 seconds. Picks winners, writes off everything else without thinking twice. He grabbed the SAR-9 Gen 3, gave it that quick half smirk, and set it back down like it wasn't even worth finishing the thought. Didn't say a word. Didn't need to. I've seen that look before. It's not about the gun. It's about the name on it. That should have been the end of it. 10 minutes later, he's back. Same pistol in his hand, but now he's slower. Turning it over, asking different questions. Not is it good, not who runs this. He's looking at the price tag, then back at the other guns. What are you actually getting for that? That's where it shifted. The SAR-9 didn't suddenly become better. It just made everything around it harder to explain. Same caliber, same job. But now the gap in price starts feeling louder than the difference in performance. Here's the decision. If you need a name to feel right about the money, this isn't it. You'll talk yourself out of it. But if you care about what you're actually paying for in a 9mm, this is one of the few that forces a real answer. And once you see that, it's hard to justify spending more. Zipping up the bag, I caught it again. Same setup. Small 9mm on me, bigger one tucked inside like I didn't trust my own decision. The X macro was sitting there too, off to the side, and I kept ignoring it. I didn't even think about it anymore. That's how bad it got. Just routine. And it hit me how backwards that actually was. I was carrying one gun, backing it up with another, because deep down, I didn't trust either one to do the whole job. That's not strategy. That's paying twice for the same problem. All day, it followed me. Adjust the small one because it's easy to carry. Think about the bigger one when I actually wanted to shoot better. Back and forth every time, no clean answer. The X macro kept sitting there like it already solved it, and I was the one pretending it didn't. Once I actually ran it that way, one gun, no backup, the whole system collapsed. Capacity, control, shootability. It covered both roles without forcing a compromise every few hours. That's where it starts making more sense than everything else. It doesn't dominate one category. It replaces the need to juggle two. If all I wanted was something tiny, this wasn't it. I felt the size. But if I was done buying around the problem, this was the one that actually ended it. What came after this forced a completely different kind of decision. End of the day, I had the RXM, sitting next to a couple of pistols with bigger names and better excuses. The kind people feel good about paying more for. More history, more hype, more reason to defend the price. The RXM didn't have any of that. No story behind it. No moment where you pick it up and feel like you bought something special. It just sat there doing the same job without asking for the same money. And that's where it started getting annoying, because I kept trying to justify the others. Better trigger, better reputation, better everything on paper. But once you actually own them, that gap doesn't stay as big as you told yourself it would. The RXM just kept doing the boring part, right? Running, fitting into whatever setup I needed, not pushing me toward upgrades, not making me think about replacing it. That's where most 9mm guns quietly start costing you after you've already paid. Yeah, the trigger's still average. You feel that. And if you want something that feels special the second you touch it, this isn't that gun. But most 9mm pistols try to win you over in the first 5 minutes. The RXM wins later, when you realize you didn't pay extra for emotion and you're not spending more trying to make it make sense. That's why it belongs here. It's not the exciting buy. It's the one that doesn't keep charging you after you leave the store. And what comes next? People pay for the exact opposite feeling. End of the day, everything was already packed, and the Grand Power K100 was still in my hand. That didn't make sense. It wasn't the plan. It wasn't the best 9mm sitting there. No hype behind it, no one talking about it, nothing pulling me toward it when I walked in. But somehow it was the last one I put down, and I caught it mid-pack. Like, why this? Earlier it actually felt off. Different recoil, different rhythm, the kind of gun you assume you'll ditch after a few mags. I even remember reaching for something more familiar and stopping halfway because I didn't need to. That's when it clicked. Not loud, not exciting, just annoying in a very real way. I wasn't adjusting to it. I wasn't correcting anything. My pace stayed the same, and the gun just kept up without asking for attention. That's the part people think they're buying in a 9mm, and most never actually deliver. This one does. It keeps you consistent without forcing you to work for it, and that matters more than whatever feels good in the first 5 minutes at the counter. Yeah, it's not the easy sell. Feels different. Some guys won't trust it, but this is exactly how people miss real value, because it doesn't announce itself. And the next one, that thing sells itself instantly, which is exactly why it fools people. Last summer, outdoor range, nothing serious, just running stages. There's a guy I know who shoots IPSC locally. Not loud, doesn't explain much, But when he runs, people stop talking. He had the CZ Shadow 2 compact 9mm on him, like it wasn't even a decision. I asked him, "Why do you keep running that?" He didn't look up. "Because it keeps me honest." We kept going. Same stages, same pace, but it didn't look the same. His hits stayed tight, transitions clean. No wasted movement, nothing flashy, just no mistakes. Next run, we swapped. And right away, it didn't feel better, just stricter. Heavier, sharper, no cushion. You rush it, it shows. You get lazy, it shows faster. That's where it clicked. This isn't a gun that makes shooting easier. It's one that makes the difference obvious, and that's why it costs more. Most 9mm pistols give you comfort fast. They smooth things out so you feel confident right away. The Shadow 2 Compact doesn't fake that. You're paying for a level of performance that actually shows up when you push it. And once you feel that gap, cheaper guns start making less sense. But it doesn't disappear later. Driving, sitting, heat, you feel the weight. So it's simple. If you actually use your pistol hard, this earns the extra money. If you don't, you're paying for something you won't use. That thing pissed me off before I even touched it. Whole day. Table full of modern 9mm pistols, sharp cuts, flat triggers, aggressive texture, all of them screaming at performance. And after a few hours, they all started blending together. Same feel, same promise, nothing separating. Then the Beretta PX4 Storm is just sitting there looking outdated as hell. Like it showed up 10 years late and didn't care. I almost left it there, picked it up anyway. Already annoyed, not curious. First few runs felt fine, but once the pace picked up, something shifted. The newer guns started getting busy. Little jump, little snap, more input to keep them flat. The PX4 didn't. It just stayed calm. Like it wasn't working as hard to do the same job. And that's where it got under my skin. Because all that modern stuff I'd been shooting all day, it started feeling like decoration, paid upgrades that didn't actually change the result. That's where it starts making more sense. You're not paying for new. You're paying for a gun that stays controlled when speed exposes everything else. Yeah, it looks dated. It won't impress you at the counter. But when it's time to actually run it, it holds together better than guns that cost more and promise more. That's why it earns its place. And what comes after this one goes in the complete opposite. Earlier this year, a buddy called me because he was about to spend more money than he needed to. I could hear it in his voice before he even named the pistol. He just said, "I'm about to spend more than I should. We're on a tailgate later, heat still hanging." And he starts listing the usual safe options. Stuff nobody questions. And I keep thinking about the Canik Meat SF. Not because it's cheaper, because it doesn't behave like it is. I told him, if you're paying more, you better be getting more. He didn't buy it. So we stopped talking and just ran it. That's where it flipped. Trigger wasn't good for the price. It was just good. Clean, easy to call. Controls sat where they should. No weird reach, no fighting it. Grip didn't feel cheap or hollow. Nothing about it felt like a compromise. That's the problem, because now the expensive gun has to prove why it costs more, and most of them can't. That's where the Meat USF makes sense. Not because it saves you money, because it removes the reason to spend more in the first place. Yeah, it doesn't carry the same reputation. Some guys still get stuck on that, but once you actually run it, that doubt starts sounding fake. You trust what the gun does, or you trust what people think about it. Pick one, and the last one, that's what you end up with when you stop questioning it altogether. Something hit the door hard enough to wake me before I knew why I was awake. Just one evening earlier this year. Not a knock, impact, the whole house tightened for a second. That kind of silence where your body moves before your brain catches up. And my hand was already on the M&P 9. No checklist, no adjustment, no second thought about what I should have picked instead. It was already decided. That's the part nobody talks about when they're comparing 9mm pistols. In that moment, there's no, this one shoots flatter, or this one feels better. All that disappears. What's left is whether the gun in your hand feels settled. Or if you start thinking, I didn't think. And that's why this one sits at number one. It's not the most exciting, not the one you show off. It doesn't win on first impression, but it's the one that doesn't turn back into a shopping decision after you own it. That night didn't turn into anything. Probably nothing, but it proved something I can't unsee. The best money in a 9mm isn't what feels good at the counter. It's what disappears from your head completely when pressure hits. That's where the M&P lives. I don't rotate it out. I don't revisit the decision. It's done, and I don't think about other guns anymore. A gun being good doesn't mean it was worth your money. That's where most people get it wrong, because the worst mistake isn't buying something bad. It's owning something good and still catching yourself looking at other options like you picked wrong. That feeling doesn't go away. Worth buying means something simple. You stop thinking about it. No comparing, no justifying, no second guessing sitting in the back of your head weeks later. It just holds up. Every time you pick it up, every time you run it, every time you remember what you paid. So now I want to hear it. What's the one 9mm that actually gave you more than you expected? Because most mistakes don't look like mistakes when you make them. They look right, feel right, and still don't give enough back. I'm Steve. See you in the next video.